Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my first cast of the JDL Season 4. We've got Invasion up against Myth, two teams that I've been tracking since JDL1. Absolutely love it when these guys play. Had a very interesting game previously. Myth going for a very late game farming Morphling build, and Invasion just tearing through it with early game Lycan push oriented summons. And Invasion again securing the Bat Rider that served them so well in the previous game. First round of bans actually, this is interesting. Pretty much identical to the first game, but reversed. It was previously it was DP, Brew, Raze. No, Razor wasn't banned. Anyway, very close to the bans in the previous game. With Brew, Magnus, and DP obviously being much feared by these teams. Myth choosing to go for Centaur, Warrunner, and Skywrath Mage, two very powerful heroes. I think generally other people would say in this patch, Skywrath Mage having a huge spammable silence is just a nightmare for so many different heroes. And Centaur Warrunner's ult is great whether you're just trying to do a simple kind of getting close and we've got more farm than you strategy, or whether you're trying to do any kind of big complicated AoE. One of my personal favourite combos with Centaur is Death Prophet, but of course, sadly, we're not going to be able to see that today. It is interesting though, it's not the best synchronicity. Obviously Skywrath's big nuke, the big damage that he can dish out with his ult, is split over all the heroes that are caught in it. So it's much more effective if you can land it on just one hero. Centaur by contrast kind of works best against large clusters, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. The other thing of course that's worth mentioning is Bat Rider will be looking for pickoffs. Centaur Warrunner will give them a blink, which will be very useful for trying to chase down Bat, whoever he picks up. And in addition, it'll give them Stampede, which will be a great way for the team to try and rotate in and help whoever gets lassoed. Also, it's one more hero that Bat Rider really does not want to lasso. If he ends up picking up Centaur Warrunner, dragging him back to the team, what's most likely to happen is his team will die, because it's just hoof stomp, double edge. Centaur can either Stampede out or have his team Stampede in. Invasion obviously feeling incredibly confident on the Bat Rider. I was talking to my teammate Gothic about the hero recently, and he is going to be smiling from ear to ear to see it being played in both of these games. Invasion then picking up the DK, obviously wanting to secure themselves the ability to just put massive pressure on early. It's the same thing we saw them doing in the previous game with the Lycan, picking up a nice scaling, fairly tanky core, who has the ability to just, whatever lane is undefended, whatever space is being made, Dragonite will be there to take advantage of it. Banning out the Anti-Mage, which is another good ban, I suppose. It's another hero that you wouldn't really want to lasso, another hero that lasso could effectively be wasted on, if he managed to get the blink away. But at the same time, I'm just not finding him that scary at the moment. Banning out the Medusa as well. They really do just seem to be going for heroes which you wouldn't want to lasso with Bat, which makes sense. Heroes with easy escapes, heroes with ways to really turn that initiation back on you. For example, Medusa just pops her ult. Myth Trust going for possibly a Respect Treant ban after the great job Invasion did with him in the previous game. Yeah, I can see the Treant ban and the Disruptor actually. The idea I think behind them being what Invasion will be trying to do with Treant or Disruptor would be to hook someone in, draw them back, and force the team to maybe force Myth to kind of just chase without full caution. And that could make it very easy to land a tree ult or a static field. Myth then choosing an IO. This is going to be really interesting. That's going to give them a huge amount of cross-map mobility, which is going to enable them to counter the split push, which effectively won Invasion the previous game. And they're going to be able to do that very frequently without having to buy hundreds of TPs. And that's actually really got to be a bit of a caution there for Invasion. They're not going to be able to do these swift rotations and just guarantee outnumbering their opponents in this game. That said, of course, Io is a very squishy hero. He only really works as an adjunct to some big position 1 carry who benefits from overcharge, who benefits from the heal, who benefits from the relocate. So yeah, bit of a bit of an interesting pickup there. And I'm just noticing in the Twitch chat. Yeah, I had an interview on Monday. I had to save the beard. Doing what I can to get it back. I assure you. That's what all this massaging is about. Oh no, the camera's off. You can't see all the massaging. I'm chin massaging to stimulate hair growth. Invasion picking up the Witch Doctor now. So we saw Mith pick that up in the previous game. Obviously, Witch Doctor's ult in combination with Batrider is absolutely amazing because you can guarantee the position of one of the enemy heroes for actually quite a large amount of time. The heal will also be great for when they're trying to do their pushes, particularly if they go for something summons oriented. I'm trying to work out what I would pick up on Invasion. They're doing a lot of very clever early game strats. I would not expect any big late game carries. We could even see, and this is a hero I don't know a huge amount about, but we could even see a position 1 Pugner coming out for Invasion. That will give them a huge amount of push. Mith picking up the Sven, and that's a combo that they'll be going for with the IO. Drop the Sven in behind. He's got huge damage with his ult and with his stun, which of course is AoE as well. If they can get the positioning right on that, that will be huge damage. Like half of Witch Doctor's health just taken off in one little flick. But at the same time, here's my hesitancy. Sven is great, right? But if you can get him stunned, or just locked down, or just taking a bit of damage, he's not the tankiest of strength heroes. I think this is why IO Tiny is such a great combo, because when you teleport Tiny in behind the enemy lines, the enemy have to make a really quick decision, like, do we even want to try and hit this guy? Because of craggy exterior. With IO Sven, if they don't get the initiation off perfectly, what's going to happen is just IO will come in, Witch Doctor will that's a very, very clever combo that I just realized. But IO and Sven will be coming in behind the lines. If they can get stun locked, Sven doesn't have the health or any kind of damage reflection to stay alive long enough to really do damage. So they're going to need to make sure that the initiation is coming in from the front at the same time. Obviously, Stampede and Blink on Centaur are going to be very helpful with that. But we'll have to see. So I did just quickly want to give a shout out. This was probably obvious to the Twitch chat a long time ago, but the Witch Doctor is an amazing pickup against the IO. Whether IO is just next to a hero using overcharge, or if they actually go for a full relocate, Cask is going to be absolutely devastating. You know, when you get hit by that in the perfect situation, it is such a long stun on 2 heroes. It's easy enough to dodge when you've got a creep wave and all your heroes are fairly spread out, but you are effectively perma-stunned if you're close enough for it to just bounce back and forth between 2 heroes. The Abaddon pickup as well for Invasion, obviously giving them a little bit more of a defensive option, and this is great when combating a kind of sudden ganking structure like Mith. And at the same time, Witch Doctor and Abaddon enable them to do their own full Protect 1 split push, which, you know, you really can't argue with it. Great drafting here coming out from Invasion. We do now see the Slark. This is a hero that is kind of difficult to get these pick-off kills on, and who can effectively, while his ult is up, just run through the enemy team. Just right-clicking, doing damage, getting some disables off with the pounce. So certainly a hero that has the ability to really mess up what Invasion are trying to do with this. It's going to be very interesting to see how they counter that with their position 1, which will be their final pickup. I think they're going to have to go with AoE for it. I think Medusa could actually have been kind of nice. But there are plenty of options. Then they go for the Bristleback. So another really tanky hero. I mean, that's 2 healers, 1 massive amount of HP passive regen on Dragon Knight, 3 melees. I mean, they have got a face rush strat to end all face rush strats. But at the same time, so do Mith. So this is guaranteed going to be a really interesting game. Just going to get the stream stuff switched over very quickly. There we go. And here we go, into game 2. Players just quickly picking up their heroes. Just waiting on the... oh, nope, not the stand-in. And here we go. Alright, so let's quickly introduce the teams. I had to take a break doing this last game because First Blood happened so quickly. So let's try and be a little bit swifter. For Mith, on the Slark we have Mypro, Gotcha on the Skywrath Mage, IO going to be played by by SD. At the moment heading up to mid, we might see a dual mid situation going on here. Offlane Centaur going to be played by the stand-in Hihi again, and we've got Lakel heading down on Sven for the safe lane carry. Meanwhile, over on the invasion team, we have Abaddon being played by ADTR. We've got DK taking the mid again. This is going to be Kia Kimber. Did a great job on Viper in the previous game. Bristleback heading to the safe lane with FZFZ. Going to be supported by Witch Doctor being played by OK, and we've got probably offlane Batrider going to be played by Ghost. Now I'm going to find the lane here really interesting. Io, I would assume, is going with Sven. They've got great synchronicity together. But of course, Io is one of the best heroes for a dual mid, so that's an option we might be seeing them do. At the same time, this is also what I've been calling quite a lot the dual game meta. The dual lane meta. It's not demanding dual lanes at all. Tri lanes are still very effective, but for the first time in a long time, I'm really feeling that it's hard to pin something down. So we are seeing some dual lanes here, or we might rather. I have been seeing some dual lanes. Abaddon heading down to bot rune. He's really just going to be scouting out the Sven though, picking up a DD. That is beautiful for Sven, exactly what he needs. And I'm not actually sure what lane the Abaddon is going to be heading to straight after that. Sven just sitting on this rune, wanting to pick it up late in the wave so that it lasts for as long as possible. And where are we going to see this Abaddon moving to? That's what I'm interested in. Is it going to be going back up to the top lane, or is it going to be down supporting the bat? And at the moment, it is looking like we're going to be seeing a dual mid coming out from Mith. Io Slark getting a beautiful pounce down on this DK right to start off the game. Huge amount of damage coming down. Of course, DK, one of those heroes who... Against Io, I would probably have gone for either the stun or Dragon Blood first on DK. I don't think the Dragon Breath really gets him much. The damage is really, really low early game, so it's very hard to get last hits with it. Batrider being brought incredibly low by that DD Sven, saved by an aphotic shield. But yeah, the Fire Breath effectively does nothing. But I'm a huge fan of the Dragon's Blood Soul Ring DK build. And last hit so far, mainly being taken by Bristleback up against the Centaur. That's a nasty lane for the Centaur. It feels like it should be good. It feels like you should be able to do some things, but particularly with a position 1 Bristleback being with extra stuns and support in the lane. We're seeing Witch Doctor here running just great pulls. It's going to be really, really difficult for Centaur to stand up to Quill Spray. Because of course Quill Spray also, Centaur's big advantage normally is he can double edge, and he can return damage. But if he goes in for last hits or anything other than XP, he's going to be taking Bristle's Quill Sprays as well, and that's very, very painful. I don't want to say almost as painful, but certainly painful. Witch Doctor does land the cask on the Io there over at the 2-minute top rune, but somehow Io still manages to bottle a. Does still manage to bottle a bounty rune, then immediately leases over to the Slark, who's just got a pounce on the DK. Not a huge amount of damage going down there, and with pounce off cooldown, DK able to go up for another last hit. So I've got to say, Invasion kind of, to me it seems, on the back foot a little bit. Myth, other than that top lane where I think Centaur is going to struggle, but Centaur's kind of built for struggling. If you have a good Centaur game. Early game, you've won the lane. You've won the game. But other than that Centaur lane, I do kind of think that Myth have got the edge of the lanes right now. The Abaddon Centaur is actually just going to slow down the lasso, and also the other significant thing is when you've got a dual off lane going up against a dual safe lane, which you don't see very often these days. You're going to have equal levels on the various heroes. Given that we haven't seen any rotations or ganks coming in fact, it should be a totally even lane. And yet it is still one that Myth are quite happily winning. Sven leading the last hits despite being up against a dual lane. Actually, I mean, like, to put that in context, he's out farming the Bristle, who I've been saying for a long time now should be having the time of his life up against that Centaur. Io doing a great job with the orbs, harassing the DK out of lane. And DK has managed to pick up a bottle. I am curious to know what his next item is going to be. in this new meta with runes all over the place all the time, do you bother going Soul Ring? Do you bother going Soul Ring when you've got an IO supporting the enemy mid and securing a great deal of runes that way? Skywrath picking up an invis down on bot is going to be spotted out by the Dire Ward there, so Abaddon playing it really cautious, backing right up into the lane. Meanwhile, a dive on top, very bold. I don't think this is very wise. Okay, taking a huge amount of tower harass. Then a double edge, almost going to finish him off. Not sure why he didn't switch the aggro there. And now we're going to have Bristle taking a couple of hits. One more hit on OK there, and that would have been first blood. They are going to now try and go on this Centaur though. He's going to be looking for a double edge on OK. This is first blood for whoever can get it, and it goes down to Hehe. I do not think that was worth it for Invasion. Followed in by rotations from Skywrath and IO, and they just nuked down the Bristleback as well. I do not know what they were doing there, but that was, I gotta say, not very well played. They do manage to pick out the Centaur though. But yeah, the problem. Oh, there we go. Pounce goes down on the DK on mid. Going to be losing some attributes, bro. Going to be losing some attributes. Centaur is just so good at nuking down squishy heroes, and is so very dangerous when he's almost dead. He's you know, that standard thing they say about cornered animals, more dangerous when they're you know, threatened or whatever. That Centaur, if he's on low health, if you're gonna kill him, he's got no reason not to spam out double edge. He's got no reason not to use up all his mana on those big powerful stomps. With Witch Doctor being brought so low by their first attempt, I really think, you know, easily within nuke distance, I really think they would have been better to play a little bit more cautious there. IO heading back to mid, running his overcharge to heal up this Slark, and then heading top for the 6-minute rune, which is going to be a haste. I'm wondering if they're going to try and do something with this, because this of course is one of the best runes for ganking. Witch Doctor meanwhile rotating over to mid, looks like he's going to be trying to support this DK a little bit. And we've got Batrider and Abaddon looking to loop round on this Sven. Or are they in fact? No, Batrider looking to take the jungle stacks for himself. Pops Firefly, and I gotta say yep, he's gonna get a huge amount of farm here. That's really gonna help him with a Blink Dagger that's actually been a little bit of a hassle so far. IO running in to try and step up some of the gold, some of the XP, but being brought so low by the flames. What on earth was that, IO? I mean, I get it, you're IO, you heal like a bastard, but wow, what on earth was that? Slark just doing so much better than this DK mid. 25 and 0 on the DK, 40 and 12 on the Slark, and we're seeing that kind of reflected in the levels. They're both level 6, and Slark's been sharing the lane with, you know, now level 5 IO for the entire game. So DK really not pulling his weight here for his team. Has managed to pick up boots, going for treads first. We'll have them finished off in 50 gold. Meanwhile, Batrider still just taking the enemy jungle as his own. Meanwhile, they do still have stacks on the in their own jungle as well. But a big Centaur initiation here goes down. DK finished off to Slark and IO harass. They do manage to finish off the IO in return. Witch Doctor is brought slightly low, but really not low enough to be thinking about killing right now. Courier again spots out this Batrider, who's being so greedy. Does he have stacks in his own jungle? No, he doesn't. Okay, no stacks in his own jungle, but the question's got to be asked, you know. Why not? Why you no stack your jungle, bro? Clarity on Witch Doctor popped by a quick bit of Skywrath harass there. And I do kind of think it's going to be time for the first lasso of the game pretty soon. I mean, like, this is a bit that I find strange. Batrider, I appreciate that the farm in the Radiant jungle is better, but when it gets to the stage... Oh, and here we go. There's a stun coming out from the Sven. Unfortunately, Batrider caught on top of the cliff, but is going to be finished off regardless by the ranged harass from Skywrath. Oh no! A beautiful aphotic shield and heal comes out from ADTR. Beautiful play there to save Ghosts. And actually, it's Gotcha who's looking a little bit in trouble now as a relocate sends Sven and IO back. But of course, it's not back far. They were the bot lane as they're rotating in, and now it's OK who's looking like he might be in trouble. Going to be looking for a Roche deny. But doesn't happen. The kill goes down to Skywrath Mage. DK had been rotating in, looking like he might be wanting to help. Warcry comes out from Sven to give them a little bit more speed. The pounce misses, but they are getting damage down on this DK now. Sven pops God's strength. One, two, three more hits on this DK. There we go. He's down. They do manage to finish off the IO at the same time, so it's Slark and Sven desperately trying to escape from what is a very, very dangerous situation here. Beautiful Cask finishes off the Slark. Finishes off the Bat Rider. Wow, never mind. I thought that Cask was going to do a little bit more work there, and I thought the kill that popped up was that kill, but no, it was Bat Rider being finished off. Meanwhile, big grouping of Mith. We've got Io hooking up with Sven, healing him right back up to full health. And they're going to be looking to possibly just push down this mid tower. Sven getting a bit of jungle farm. Skyrath wanting to finish off the two big creeps that are all left of the stack Bat Rider made. Stacking the camp up as well. The only thing they really need to be making sure they're doing is taking these stacks fairly quickly before the Bat Rider can get in and do nasty things. But with an Io and a Sven, it really shouldn't be hard to do that. Meanwhile, the invasion team looking like they want to group up and push down on the on the top lane. If they can get a loop in, any kind of initiation on this centaur, that would be best. He does not have mana for Stomp, but unfortunately there's just no opening for it. So they're going to have to just turn it into a passive push. Sven, of course, down on the bot lane, farming up this entire time, going for drums. So a very early game build for Sven. And this is on a game where I think BKB, an early BKB, could have been really useful. It wouldn't have blocked all of the enemy spells, Witch Doctor ult, I think Lasso go through it as well, but it would have done a huge amount. It would have been very, very useful. 5-man push with the DK ult coming out from Invasion is certainly going to get them this first tower. And we did see in the first game, they are a team, even, when ahead on kills, they can do a great job with towers, with a bit of space from towers. But when you've got those skills, it helps when you're behind as well, and they're going to go straight on this tier 2. And with Bristleback, they're going to be able to finish off the creep wave incredibly quickly. They're getting their own reinforcements coming in now. And the push for Mith is much weaker, it's just the Sven and the Io. This tier 2 is almost down already. In fact, it's going to go down. There's no way that Mith can engage on this quick enough. In fact, Bat Rider looking for a lasso. Centaur ult is popped, I think, just defensively there. MyPro up, looking for a pounce. Sven and I are forced away from bot lane by the rotation of Abaddon. Sorry, that's the rotation of Bristleback with the benefit of an Abaddon ult. Bat Rider caught out by Slark. Finished off very, very quickly. But even so, 2 towers in exchange for a Bat Rider, which effectively is a trade that Invasion just got there, is actually good for them. Let's have a quick look how that affected the XP. XP firmly in favour of Mith, but of course towers don't give you a huge amount of that. Gold, much less so. But yeah, still in favour of Mith. Invasion need to take more towers to give themselves map control if they really want to be happy with that. The off lane, certainly a good lane to take towers in, certainly decent to get that gold coming in for your team, but it's not going to be enough. Not by itself. We now have Kia Kimber looking on the mid lane. Just wanted to pick up a little bit of farm, or at least got some space. Items that are coming out so far. Centaur has managed to pick up his Blink, but then again so is Bat Rider and working on his full staff now. Bristleback going to be working on his Vanguard, can't be too far off that. And we've got Shadowblade coming out on Slark as well. Which, if they can use that to get kills, really can be a thorn in the side of Invasion's plans. Because they really just want to rotate between hard farming their carries. Oh, the Shadowblade on the Slark is going to be critical here. The Skyrath ult comes down. Meanwhile, Centaur ult, Blink, Stomp. And now that's DK and Abaddon down, the 2 of the tankiest heroes, and we've got a huge chase coming out on this Bristle. Cask is dropped. Okay, edging closer, wants to try and help, but it's a bad call. Just going to put himself at risk, and there was nothing he could have done there. And that's a 4-for-1 trade with Slark being, Skyrath being finished off in the meantime. Let's have a look at the damage that was done there. Bristleback doing a huge amount of damage, actually more than anybody else in the fight with the stacks of Quill Spray he got off, but just not enough. That's damage he did because he was being attacked. The Invasion did not have enough of an active plan there to really make anything happen. Whereas if you have a look at what happened for the Mith side, beautiful initiation there from Stampede. Sven managing to get 2 Stormhammers off in that. Slark with the Shadow Blade was able to be right on top of the enemy team before they were expecting the initiation. And just generally, absolutely amazing play there from Mith. That's actually pretty much doubled the lead they had in both XP and gold. And, oh wow, he being brought so low there with that last double edge. Like, just ridiculously low. Smoke gank coming up from Invasion. They have smoked up. Looks like they want to go into the Radiant jungle, but unfortunately they're not going to find anything. They could choose to go for Roche. We've got a Hasterin picked up. Yeah. They're not going to find anything down here with the Radiant heroes all around mid lane. Or actually ganking into the Dire jungle. There's just nothing going on. But the smoke is revealed. They know there's someone close. They don't know where. They spot out Skywrath Mage. And we've got Bat. He wants to get the Blink Lasso. Oh, he's not even going to use Lasso for this. They're just going to nuke down Gotcha incredibly quickly. Still have Lasso. I think they're just going to try and pressure down the mid tower. But honestly, I really think they should be taking Roche. When you've got this huge, tanky, massive heal lineup, you can do Roche really early. And that would actually be something to slow down Mith. Something to give them a little bit more cause. Because if they pop the Skywrath ult, that kills someone, but then they come straight back with Aegis, they're not going to have another Skywrath ult. This is of course going to be a bit of a trade. We've got Sven and Io working on the top lane. Quick relocate back to base. Not sure if they're going to take the Sven back up top lane. They may do, but at the same time we've got a huge dive coming out on from Invasion after that, taking the tier 1 tower there. And they might actually try with Slark and Centaur down to just... yeah, they'll take this tier 2 as well. They've still got the DK ult up. And I think this is a great use of the DK ult. It's the best way to use it is not just, okay, I've got my DK ult, let's go take a tower. It's, okay, I've got my DK. Oh wow, okay, big stun coming out from Sven, followed up by the Io. That's going to finish off OK in seconds. Sven just needs one more right click, choosing to go for the Bristleback instead. OK, just getting the distance there. And we have Slark rushing up Shadowblade as well, waiting for the easy pounce. He's hoping he doesn't have to use it on Bristle, but he does. Now they've got Abaddon silenced. That's the ult popped. Unfortunately, the Skywrath nuke lands then and pretty much heals up to full health. Going for Mypro, but just not enough damage. And that was a beautiful initiation there from the Sven. He knew that with his ult and with the stun landing well, with Io coming in to support him, he can just rush in. He does not need to be afraid of anyone. Super aggressive play 1-on-5, but with his team close enough to back him up. Beautiful play. Beautiful play. Sven now, DD Rune, Warcry, going to be finishing off this Ancient stack in no time at all. Making sure he's got the positioning there to get the cleave off to best effect. Mypro wants to be aggressive, might have a chance here to loop round on this Batrider, but actually going to choose to go down on the mid. Shadowblade's invis wears off. He's immediately spotted out by Abaddon, who pops a whole load of pings. DK making his move up. Now, if they can get this kill fairly quickly, this will be wonderfully worth it for Invasion. Unfortunately, it seems like they're not going to get anything for it. They actually spent probably about 30 seconds rotating their teams both in and out of that attempt. And what they are going to do now is just try and move down on bottom, get this final tier 1 down. At the same time, though, they are, for the first time in the game, looking at taking some damage on one of their tier 2s. And if Sven does have God Strength, yep. Noticing that they've got 5 heroes committed to bot lane, he decided to pop God Strength, try for a kill here. But with the tower going down that quickly, I really think Invasion should be TPing back up top and trying to contest this. Instead, they seem to want to go for kills here. And in fairness, they're probably gonna get it. Never mind, relocate in from Sven. Just nukes down the Witch Doctor so quickly. Mypo being brought incredibly low, uses his ult to get out. The Skywrath ult misses. Now it's Sven with his ult down, manages to land his stun, but brought down by the huge damage coming out from Invasion. And well, they'll have their Witch Doctor back in 10 seconds, but there's 40 seconds without Sven. So this should definitely be 1, if not 2 tier 2s going down for Invasion here. Slark, ult offline. All the ults are offline for another, basically until Sven comes back. Does look like Mith are trying to make some kind of defense on this though. Sending some nukes out FZ's way. And we've got the TP coming in from Centaur, so they kind of need to commit or not here. Oh, but very, very bold, going for this 4-on-5 fight. Yeah, Hehe being brought incredibly low here. Don't really know what they were thinking, trying this without the Sven. Hehe going to be finished off. And MyPro still does not have his ult. That was way too early to try for that initiation. And now, even though Sven's up, they're probably going to be losing these 2 towers. It's either going to be the 2 towers, or it's going to be that 1 tower and maybe Roche. That'd be where I'd be heading. Apparently I'm not the same as these guys though. As FZ and Kirkenbar focusing on the Radiant jungle, rest of the heroes rotating out of the area. I really think they should be going for Roche. With both teams going for these kind of hard melee, very tanky lineups, the first person to get Aegis is, yeah, thank you Witch Doctor, thank you, ping it, ping it! Sven finishing off Witch Doctor up on the top lane though, with a beautiful relocation. And that's the other thing, if you split up to try and push these lanes out, it is, I guess, the better defensive play, but the problem with it is up against an IO with a great latch like Sven, or even without the IO, with a Centaur on the lane, with a blink stun, it's going to be really, really difficult to avoid just getting ganked to hell. The way they're doing it now though, with just walking in, no subtlety to it, they are going to get spotted out by the Centaur with a blink stomp and a double edge. Here comes Sven, he lands a stun on FZ. The DK ult is popped along with the BKB. There goes the Witch Doctor roll and the Skywrath ult. Huge damage coming down on all of the cores here, but it seems like Lekels is surviving. But so is FZ. He gets a heal, a quick heal from Abaddon, and it's MyPro who's going to be the first casualty for Mith. Batrider finished off in that fight as well, but they can afford to lose the Bat. And they're just baiting here. They weren't taking any damage to or from Roshan, but it doesn't matter. Lekels comes in with a BKB, a stun, doesn't even have God strength, and look at that damage. Abaddon finished off at the same time though, along with Skywrath, along with DK, and FZ finally gets nuked down to double edge. Witch Doctor the only survivor, and again, okay, hanging around these fights longer than I think is wise, longer than he can really afford to. So just to clarify there, I really think what Invasion needed to do was group up as 5, ideally with blinks or something, get into Roche quickly and kill it. Ideally getting some D-wards out, but if you're going as 5, perhaps it's not too important to worry about making 100% sure that you've D-warded everything. But at the very least it needed to be a full attempt at Roche. Rather than kind of splitting up, doing different things, having Witch Doctor be picked off up on top lane, while someone farmed mid lane and someone was regenning. Even if they didn't do it then, it needed to be a 5-man attempt. Oh, and we get a blink stomp in from Centaur. The relocates here as well, and the hammer secures Sven the kill. 21 up against 14. Let's have a quick look at the items that are coming out from these heroes. Sven, as I said, going for a fairly early build. Oh, Slark catches Abaddon. There's the pounce. The ult is popped. They're just going to wait on this. The stun interrupts the TP. And that's an easy kill. Nice cast coming out from Witch Doctor, but they're not able to initiate off it. Centaur Warrener picking up a 4-star. Interesting. I generally see more tanky items coming out, but Mith really do have enough of an edge that the mobility on that might be more useful. And Sanjan Yasha coming out from Sven really just helps him be more of an all-rounder at this stage in the game, while giving him decent damage as well. Over on the Invasion side, we do have Crimson Guard and Mech coming out on Bristleback, so they've got a decent amount of defense against what Mith are trying to do. Witch Doctor working on his Ags, Blink and Force Staff also out on Batrider. So I wouldn't count Invasion out of this yet. Both teams have got the ability to, if they can get the right fight, they will win. Clearly. If Invasion can lock down the Sven, avoid the Skywrath ult, and avoid being nuked down too much by Centaur, then they'll win the fight. All they got to do is get a stun lock on Sven, get an initiation on Sven, get a gank on Sven, take fights when Sven is dead, any of these options, and they can win fights and win this game. And they do, technically at the moment, have more map control. Only slightly, it's just an offlane tier 2 that's making the difference. But they've got a team as well who can be very, very aggressive into the enemy jungle. Batrider able to be highly mobile, a great scout, and also great at any stacking that the Mith teams attempt to do for Sven is at risk of being stolen by Batrider as well. With the exception of Ancients, of course. Both teams ready to play a little bit more passive. Batrider happy. Well, I say passive. Batrider happily farming the Radiant jungle. Possibly going to run into Centaur there. Nope, Centaur's returning to mid lane. Did get some vision on the Dire team there, obviously pinging them out. And Dire are looking to relocate to go up on this Slark. It's not. What is Slarky Malarkey up here? What's he doing? He's got his Shadow Blade, so he's not really in too much danger, I suppose. And of course, there's always IO Sven relocate. That can always help. Sven not opting to go for any lifesteal yet, which I find, I suppose, not very strange with the IO on the board as well. But certainly late game, if the nukes coming out from Bristleback, from DK start becoming too much, if he were to pick up some lifesteal with the damage he's doing, that would be another way to keep himself alive, and it would be huge. And now we're really just getting into a kind of passive farming area of the game, apparently. And I think this has got to work in to the advantage of Mith. I mean, Sven 6,000 now ahead of the closest person on the net worth chart, and also just probably the hardest carry in the game, the hardest dedicated carry. If it's not Sven, it's probably Slark. That's just the truth, I'm afraid. So I really am not sure what Invasion are hoping to be getting out of, you know, a couple more items on this DK. Yeah, okay, I guess they're good. Honestly, I think he should be finishing off that drum. Like, Invasion's whole strategy here was to try for something a little bit early game, and they're not doing that at all. Sven seems to be quite keen, actually, to just passively farm. Going for nice, safe options, which would be fine if he was a Medusa, which would be fine if he was a Morphling, which would be fine if he was a Spectre. Need I go on? It's not fine on a Bristleback or a DK. Plays need to be made. Do they have a smoke out, possibly, on any of the heroes? Yeah, okay, Witch Doctor carrying a smoke. Group up, possibly? Group up? Go for smoke? We do have, unfortunately, the problem is, who do you go for? The only people they can effectively go for and hope for any kind of gank is the Sven and the IO, because if they go for anyone else, Sven and IO are going to be coming straight into to say hola. Bounty Rune picked up there on Ghost. He's going to be heading back into the Radiant Jungle, just trying to get some nukes down. Oh, but a blink in from Hee. They spotted him out this time. I think this might actually be what they were waiting for this entire time. Kier Kimber choosing to pop his ult. Why on earth would you go for that? The smoke is popped. They knew that there were people there, and the relocate in from Io and Sven is just absolutely huge. Another beautiful blink stomp from Hee, and that's Witch Doctor down as well. Bristleback, last one standing, doesn't manage to make the TP out. Abaddon does get out to the top lane, just. But this is an opening for Mith to really try and make some plays here. The Aegis will be reclaimed very, very shortly. Let's have a quick look. In like 20 seconds. So we're not going to be seeing any big Aegis plays. But 4 of the enemy heroes down. The push on mid lane is being taken care of by Slark. I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to finish off that tower. It's going to depend slightly, I suppose, on where they choose to send the Batrider, the DK, and the Witch Doctor. But I'm pretty sure we'll see at least one of these invasion towers going down. Sven gets to work on the bottom tier 2. It's not going to take him a huge amount of hits. That forces the glyph. Meanwhile, we've got Slark on the mid. And it does seem like the rotations are heading down towards Sven. Slark, I think, should be being a little bit more aggressive, particularly with his Shadow Blade, up until the point when he knows that they're going for him. And because of that lack of aggression, they're not going to be able to get this tower down. Nice quick bit of dewarding there coming out from Centaur, who's picked up a gem. Great way to take advantage there of the space they're creating for themselves. Oh, and Batrider. Oh, the blink wasn't quite in the right place. The rest of the Radiant team is here, so there's not going to be much of an opportunity for Batrider to use that as an initiation. but he forced to take a huge amount of damage there from just sitting in the flames. That I think could have popped out a couple of napalms there, maybe amped the damage slightly, but not a big deal. Centaur now picking up the Vanguard, which will probably be the base of his own team's Crimson Guard. And meanwhile, we've got Skywrath and Slark trying to push out mid again. And really, this is the thing, when you're pushing on the dire towers like this, you kind of force their heroes to kind of stay between them near the secret shop. Oh, but we got a beautiful blink. Lasso, 4-staff coming out. It's on the Centaur, so there's a bit of risk associated with it. And the rest of the team is straight in here. Mith, this Sven, just doing so much work. Chases down the DK, now going for FZ, and doesn't even care about going for one of the tankiest damage dealers in the game. And that's GG, called by Invasion. And I think GG is right. Whew. Well, that one was a lot closer than the first one. We can't really argue with that. Oh wow! Let's have a look at the final scores there. Well, I mean, great game to Myth. That's 1-1 for Invasion for the first game of the JDL Season 4 Asia 1 Division. Of course, this is not a best of 3. This is a 2-game series, so that will be it. But great play from these teams. I really think that Invasion were trying to do something a little bit too similar to the first game. They came up with some decent counters, but honestly I think they needed a bit more solid lockdown to deal with the IO and the Sven. All they had was Lasso, Cask and the DK stun, and that's just not enough on heroes who can dish out so much damage if they're left to right click. That said, Invasion did get off some wonderful pickoffs. I think if they'd been a little bit more aggressive a little bit earlier, then I mean they might still have lost. They might have lost worse, but it's the only way that their strategy would work against a Slark and a Sven. But we remember their first game with fond memories. They did a great job there. So GG to anybody watching. Please do tune in. I'm going to be trying to do some of the Gigabyte semi-finals tonight. That should be kicking off, I think, at 1800 CET. So please do tune in for that. Some decent teams coming in there. And other than that, there'll always be more JDL, always more stuff coming out on Grumble Duke Gaming. So tune in next time and have good games yourselves. Ciao.